So this is one of my more random books. It's called Love in Guatemala, and it's two collections of poetry. One is love poetry, clearly, and the other is poems either written about or during a time when I was in Guatemala. So one of my jobs before doing the Walmart thing was taking youth to Guatemala. So I took about, I don't know, a lot, 43 kids per trip, 5 trips, something like that. One of them standing back there, hi, wave. Yeah, and so while we were there, one of the things that we did was we all had work teams. And, you know, there's coffee work teams, we learned how to plant coffee, and there's construction, so I'm digging holes in the ground, and there's reforestation, so I had to go hiking. Whew, don't love the hiking. And then there's the hospital work team, which was actually the least amount of physical labor and the hardest amount of work, because we were there working with people whose families had abandoned them, who were just going to live in the hospital for the rest of their lives. And so our job was just to kind of entertain them for a morning, and then we got to go home. But since I was a trip leader reoccurring, I met the same people in the hospital over and over again. And one of the people I met was a guy named Oscar, who he was blind. But he also, before he became blind, he lived in Texas for like 20 years. He spoke fluent English and was super excited to have people speaking English to him. But it was always that kind of awkward moment of we'd hang out for 2 weeks, and then I'd disappear for like a year, and then I'd come back, and he was still there. So I wrote this for him. It's called Sepia Afternoon. I felt the light shift, the sudden coolness in the breeze, and I thought of you. You in your courtyard, surrounded by the orange blossoms you would never see. Would you be chilly? Or would the wind be like the familiar caress of the woman you spoke of from your other lifetime? The one where you were whole, or closer to it. The one where you had a family. Members of family long since disappeared. Do you dream of them still? Their faces, the only images left to play upon the blank screen of your eyelids. As you slide beads onto string, do you number them like days and wonder how many lifetimes are left for you to pay for your mistakes, as I wonder when I'll be sent the bill for mine? Does it bother you to never see my face? Or is it enough to recognize my voice and the warmth of me sitting beside you in our sepia afternoon? You, with your blindness confined to your eyes, and me with mine impairing my ability to see beyond the wicked shape of things. The way we all conspire to perpetuate the systems that pin us all in place like frozen constellations, and our stars are so far apart. It seems impossible that we would even coincide, if only to share a moment in this sepia afternoon. Already a forgotten photo of a place I don't often dare to remember, because to remember is to admit that I am neither as good nor as noble as I would like to believe, nor as worthy of the privilege to squeeze your hand before I say goodbye and walk away from you again. It's been about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yes. That's kind of how it goes.
So you are doing this?
I'm not. I'm doing this thing. Yeah. Oh, it's sad. So that I have to do. Oh, it makes me sad to read that. Okay, I want to read something not sad. This is one of my signature pieces. The Afro Petting Zoo is closed. A public service announcement in 3 parts. 1. Sometimes my hair be talking shit. Not when she's twisted and braided down and wrapped in silk, but sometimes when freshly washed and oiled, smelling like coconut and ocean, billowing up wild and free, she gets an attitude. She starts talking to strangers. She'd be like, "Psst, hey, I look soft, don't I?" She says, "Touch me. I'm like perfume velvet. You know you want to pet me." Now, and this is very important, don't listen to her. 2, The following is a dramatization based on several unfortunately true events. It was Saturday night at the club. She was blonde and sparkly, shellacked into white go-go boots and a pink spandex mini dress that was made to hold much less of her. But she didn't care. It was her birthday. And she was pink and special and the tequila was free. As she tottered out into the street, loosely supported by two equally drunk friends, her eyes fixed on me, a vision of chocolate loveliness. The tremendous fluff of my fro, so soft, so downy, black cotton candy cried out to her like a giant puffy siren singing her towards her own destruction. Touch me. I'm just as plush as that rabbit you had in kindergarten. Pet me. It all happened quickly. Startling the crowd of cool kids smoking by the door, she let out a squeal of elation. Hee! She shed her friends like a beer-stained coat and came careening towards me, the fat in her dress set into motion like two warring sock puppets, tarped in pink, a mass of bubblegum jello jiggling. Her two hands were like the metal grabby claws in those glass bins filled with toys. Hee! Coming closer. Hee! Closer! The slap reverberated through the streets. Smoking ceased. The bouncer eyed us warily. The only sound was the throb of Diva House spilling out from the club. A smile was turned upside down. Pink, sparkly lips quavered. It's my birthday. You didn't have to. Oh, but I did. Don't let this happen to you. 3. It's big, it's invisible, and it surrounds me constantly. I like to call it my personal space bubble. In the words of singer-songwriter India Ari, I am not my hair. All views expressed by my hair are not necessarily my views. Any invitations issued by my hair are subject to interpretation and possible recrimination. So to avoid potential litigation and or bitch slapping, treat me like I am the VIP lounge, complete with velvet ropes and burly men named Thor, forming a barrier between you and my hair. If you're not on the list, don't touch me. Yes, it's happened that much I had to write a poem about it. Let's see. What kind of mood are you in?
Sexy.
Sexy, angry, sexy? Okay. Sexy, angry. Yeah, okay. The I hate my boss poem? Oh god, okay. I definitely have one of those. Yeah? Alright, we'll come back to sexy, angry. Ooh, this is one I haven't read in years, because I haven't hated my boss in that many years. Let's see. Not much longer. Not much longer. Some days going to work is like being trapped in that Salvador Dali painting where hell is melting clocks in a desert wasteland. Hear every silence, every unsighed sigh and fake smile seconds before I hear myself saying, yeah, I guess, sir, is me losing ground, losing grace, always losing the slow dehydration of my soul. While inside, I hear her prowling, cursing and kicking, rumbling with the ominous thunder of the storms to come. She's mad as hell. She's banging on walls, she's painting signs and writing letters, she's stockpiling stones and building a bomb. Red war paint streaks her cheeks. She's got a bullhorn and she's screaming at the top of her lungs, don't do this to me, I have rights. Shh, I say, I've got bills. I button up my collar, push my hair down a little, shine up my shoes all respectable like, and slide on the mask. I've got responsibilities, I tell her. I lock her in tight before I go to that place. She's got to stay there. Her and her neck rolling, loud talking, truth telling ass, she's got to stay inside. So I make the walls extra thick. Mix the concrete of every reason freedom isn't free. Why we must turn each second into seed, bury years into the sand, what we think we must do. A toxic dump of endless burdens and bills and obligations where nothing ever blooms except resentment, depression. All of us just pretending that it's enough to have medical and dental. The money for time is glass beads for land, and she won't pretend. She is my loud ass Jiminy Cricket. She's yelling, "You don't know what you're doing." But I know. We all know. That's my life you're pissing away. My moments of breath and flesh disappearing in the quicksand. We both know what she wants. She wants to swim naked in the blue gold of Grecian seas. She wants to gorge on wild strawberries still warm from the summer sun. She wants to serenade God from the top of Mount Kilimanjaro and take body shots of tequila off the abs of a pro wrestler. She wants freedom. But I can't give it to her. Freedom doesn't pay the rent. So I go to that place and grin and lie and let the best of me rot in the cell in the bottom of my heart. And when it isn't enough, this daily act of submission, Mr. Man remembers to put me in my place. A low place where I am not my degrees, potential, or my experience, but rather another young face in need of a lesson in the art of settling for shit and taking it like a professional. "Hey," Mr. Man says, "it's nothing personal. We all do what we have to do," then pats me on the back as a reward for my indentured servitude. A small consolation for joining the army of zombies complicit in our own capture and enslavement. Welcome to adulthood. And in these moments, I am sorry. I see my cowardice for what it is and cry. But every tear is like the tide rising, the skies opening across an open desert. Hidden inside me is the seed of my own liberation, and every day, her voice is growing. Okay. La 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 la. I wanted to read this one. It's called Maybe Crazy. It's safe to say I love too quickly. Slip, trip, gallop, rocket, soar, pour my heart into strangers' cups like $3 wells at happy hour, 2 for 1. And I go back for seconds. Give and give some more. I want to tell you that I love you. I want to sing it with a backup band and doo-wop girls. I want to scat a Scooby-Dooby-Doo-Doo and make up new words to describe this rainbow I'm bedazzling for you, this crazy cat lady quilt of technicolor feelings I'm knitting for you. I am being possessed by Elmira. I want to hug you and squeeze you, and I know it's all entirely inappropriate. That discretion is the better part of winning Texas Hold'em. But to most sane people, love is better expressed in a time-released leak, like a balloon slowly whispering helium. Don't get too full. Don't let the round rise float you too high. Don't catch your ribbons in the tree branches, and certainly don't pop. Because love is a red accent wall in a black and white house. An illegal speakeasy that plays all your favorite songs and disappears before next Friday. Love is what you say you want and never believe you deserve you can handle. But I deserve you. And you deserve confetti and glitter cannons and a woman who would confess her love for you before the first date. Maybe I am crazy to know what I know. But whoever said good love has anything to do with being sane? Alright. Angry? I got you. I wasn't planning on reading this, so I didn't dogtail it. for Trayvon. I am tired of this America. I'm tired of the roles we've been drawn to play, from porch monkey to field hand, niggers, bitches, and slaves, from Uncle Ben still making rice to Aunt Jemima tucking white children in real tight. From soldiers to cannon fodder, always dying in someone else's fight, we are athletes and musicians. Comic relief and fuel for prisons, caged in census checkboxes delineating us and them. It's always us and them, even though we are citizens. Our citizenship comes hyphenated. We are never just Americans. Afro, yes. African, sort of. Black, hyphen American. Hyphen underprivileged. Hyphen minority. Hyphen welfare queen. Hyphen nappy-headed hoe. Hyphen junkie fiend. Hyphen criminal accessory. Hyphen ignorant pickaninny. Hyphen scourge of every white city. From Emmett Till to our most disrespected U.S. president, we are all hyphenated brown skin beneath a hoodie. Spoiler alert, the black boy doesn't die in this poem. He never dies, and neither do I, and neither of our mothers will ever have to cry for the crimes of this America. Put a pen in my hand and I will write it the way it should have happened. Edit in the Kevlar vest. Add in the Bill and Ted telephone booth trip through time for ninja lessons. Lessen the boy into a master. Give him wings a season early. No Icarus. He would be a careful pilot, only flying high enough to leap tall buildings, but no closer to heaven's gate. On his palm, I would tattoo a map of safe routes home. He would always have a safe route home. I would make Harry Potter lend him his invisibility cloak, because it seems it's only in visibility that we are captured and flattened into this caricature of what this skin and these eyes and this hair mean. But even my fictional rewrite holds no antidote to Zimmerman. He is a channel that doesn't change, the devil that doesn't disappear, the vampire that walks in daylight, not to slay others of its kind, but to remind us that certain monsters have immunity. No garlic. No stakes, no silver bullets, no holy water, no water holier than a mother's tears, and her tears cannot erase what eyes should have never had to see. If only I could draw a new America. A place where freedom is really free, a home where there are no disclaimers, no hyphens dividing up humanity, where a shooter would also bleed, and every gunshot that rings out would be a boomerang, returned to sender with a vengeance. But the place I write of holds no vengeance, holds no vestige, holds of this past where we weren't free, and thus holds no presence where we are still fighting to wake from this nightmare into the American dream. I dream a dream. A dream in technicolor, a dream where my father and mother, sister and brother, and any shade of color kin won't meet the same end that Trayvon did.
Woo! You want to do one more? Okay.
Last one. Know me. Unravel me. The edges of me undone seems only meant to hold together long enough for that next something. Here and now is when I can be imprecise. A blurred definition of something you thought you understood that now challenges the fundamentals of your science. Flat maps can only allude to curvature, only create symbols to represent your guesstimated knowledge. I never wanted to be a known quantity anyway, solved and complete. I never meant for you to know me, just wanted you to try.